Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to try something a little different. To celebrate one of the best parts of German culture, we're going to cook up a couple of my favorite German specialties. Specifically, we're going to take a look at how Currywurst and Spätzle are traditionally prepared in Germany and how I prepare them for myself at home. Maybe this will inspire you to try one of these awesome dishes for yourself, whether you try the original or make your own custom version instead. The way I'm preparing these dishes today definitely strays from the originals. Of course, I also really enjoy traditional Currywurst and Spätzle, but at home, I usually try to eat a bit healthier and avoid dairy since it isn't exactly my friend. By the way, if you decide to make these recipes and you're not living in Germany or you don't have access to a German grocery store, some minor substitutions might be needed. But more on this to come. Now let's go ahead and make some Currywurst and Spätzle. Los geht's! Let's begin with the Berlin specialty, Currywurst. It was invented here in 1949, and it's grown to be very popular throughout Germany. The story behind Currywurst is that Berlin chef Herta Heuwer obtained ketchup, or maybe it was Worcestershire sauce, and curry powder from British soldiers. She mixed these ingredients with other spices and poured them over grilled pork sausage. Then, she started selling them at a stand in Berlin's Charlottenburg neighborhood, and it became popular with construction workers who are rebuilding the devastated city. Today it can be found in many kiosks and restaurants all over Germany. This is Beer's Kudamm 195, one of the best Currywurst places in Berlin and one of my favorites. But of course, there are many excellent Currywurst places in Berlin. See the link in the description for more options. Traditionally, Currywurst is made up of grilled pork sausage that's sliced, covered in ketchup, sprinkled with curry powder, and served with a side of fries. More ketchup or sometimes mayonnaise is also added to the fries. I have to admit, I used to think having mayonnaise with fries was a bit strange, but it's actually really good together. Of course, I usually order it with extra ketchup, but a little of both works well too. And that's basically it. Now, my version, which I make at home for lunch or dinner, is pretty similar. First, I get all the ingredients I need at my local Rewe grocery store, and they are bratwurst. If you're in the US, you should be able to find some type of bratwurst at your local grocery store. You could also use vegan bratwurst if you prefer. Rosemary potatoes. It's just way easier to get these pre-cooked ones when I'm in a hurry. Of course, you can just do fries, which go perfectly with this, but I find that fried potatoes work really well too. Curry ketchup. This is probably not available in the US unless you get it from a specialty German grocery store, but you can make something pretty similar by mixing a good amount of curry powder into your ketchup. And more curry powder to sprinkle on top. I'll also be using olive oil to fry everything and salt for seasoning the potatoes. Here are all of the ingredients together. Now here's how I prepare it. First, I cut up the potatoes. Then I get two of my awesome stainless steel pans, which are made by a German company called Fissler. I preheat them until they pass the water bead test, meaning that the pan is hot enough for the water to bead like this. Then I add a generous amount of olive oil to each pan and fry the sausage and potatoes separately until they're nicely done. While this is cooking, I'll stir it occasionally so everything cooks more evenly. And as I do this, let me just share a quick little story about these stainless steel pans that I'm using. For many years before I got these pans, I swore by non-stick pans, but I got really sick of having to replace them all the time, and I was a little concerned about their safety too. When a friend of mine recommended that I get stainless steel pans, I was very skeptical. There's a lot of propaganda out there against stainless steel pans, claiming that they don't cook everything well or complaining that everything sticks to them. And, sure enough, I went into a kitchen store to take a look at them, and the salesperson tried to get me to buy more non-stick pans, insisting that stainless steel pans are basically useless. But when I read that pretty much every single professional chef in the world uses stainless steel pans, I realized that there had to be something more to it. Finally, I learned about the water bead test that I showed you earlier. This is how you know a stainless steel pan is ready with little to no sticking, and it's really the key to the whole thing. And I have to say that these are by far the best pans I've ever owned. They do a great job of getting things extra crispy, which makes for perfect fried potatoes, for example. Anyways, back to the currywurst. When it's all done, I put everything on a large plate. Slice the bratwurst like this, and add lots of curry ketchup. Then, if there isn't enough curry, which there never really can be, I sprinkle even more curry powder over everything. You can also add salt to taste. And there you have it. That's how I make currywurst at home. Pretty quick and easy, right? Not to mention, super yummy too. I suggest pairing this with some Fanta, or you could make your own Spätzle, which is made of equal parts cola mixed with Fanta. Of course, you can never go wrong with a nice German beer on the side. Guten Appetit! Okay, now let's move on to Spätzle. Spätzle is an egg pasta that can be served as a side for meat dishes with or without sauce, or as a main course with a variety of ingredients like meat, veggies, and cheese mixed in. Spätzle, which dates back to the 18th century, originated in the Swabia area of southwestern Germany and the Alsace area of Germany and France. It can also be found throughout Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and other Central European countries. One of the best known Spätzle dishes is Käsespätzle, Spätzle mixed with cheese and onions. And one of the best places to get Käsespätzle in Germany, if not the world, according to Taste Atlas, is Weinstube Fröhlich in Stuttgart. Check out the link in the description to learn more and get recommendations for some other places to get Käsespätzle. Traditionally, Spätzle is simply made from flour, eggs, water, and salt. Spätzle are made by scraping long, thin strips of dough off a wooden chopping board into boiling salted water, where they cook until they rise to the surface. Some people also use a special coarse grater to create the unique size and texture that many prefer. Now my version is a little different. I like to make Spätzle as a main course, and I add some different ingredients. I can also find all the necessary ingredients for my dish at my local Rewe grocery store. Rather than making my own Spätzle from scratch, I just buy these pre-made ones to save time. Anyways, in addition to the Spätzle noodles, I also get an onion, some ham. I really like this Kessel ham, which is lightly smoked, or you could just use smoked tofu instead. Green peas, and I usually make sauteed zucchini to go on the side. And finally, some chives to finish it all off. I also use olive oil to fry everything. Oh, and I add a little iodized salt and the secret ingredient, Kräutersalz, which I'll talk about more shortly. If you want, you could also add some crumbled feta or any other cheese that you like. Now, if you're in the US and you want to make this, you probably won't be able to find Spätzle noodles at your grocery store. So you'll need to either get them at a German specialty store, or substitute egg noodles, or, to really be authentic, you could make them from scratch using the recipe linked in the description. If you do plan to make them yourself, I recommend checking out a quick video, also linked in the description, to see an example of how Spätzle noodles are typically made. Okay, back to my recipe. Now that I have all the necessary ingredients, here's how I prepare them to make my own version of Spätzle. First, I chop up the onions, chives, zucchini, and ham. I also heat up some water in a pot and bring it to a boil. This is for boiling the Spätzle noodles. Then, using two separate pans, I fry the zucchini and some onions together in one pan and the onions, ham, and peas in another. I also add a little salt to the zucchini while it's cooking. I use separate pans so that everything cooks well. All of these things are cooked at the same time. Then I add the ham and peas to the larger pan once the onions are mostly done. And I just keep stirring these things periodically until they're all done. Once the Spätzle is done, I drain it well and mix it in with the onion, ham, and peas and just fry everything all together. All except for the zucchini, which I keep separate since this will be served on the side. Keeping this on the side will help the Spätzle noodles stay nice and crispy. At this point, I also add a little more olive oil to the Spätzle. Now I just keep frying and mixing the Spätzle until it browns a little and gets a bit crispy. This makes it extra yummy. Once everything's done, I sprinkle in the chives, give it one last stir, and put it all in a bowl. To top it all off, I add some Kräutersalz along with the fried zucchini on the side, and it's ready to serve. In case you're curious, Kräutersalz is an herbal salt mix that I've only seen in Germany, and it's awesome. It takes everything you add it to the next level, especially eggs. I love Kräutersalz so much that I used to bring some of it back with me in my suitcase whenever I visited Germany before I moved here. It might be a pain to recreate Kräutersalz, but just in case you want to try, it's a mix of salt with ground spices including onion, parsley, chives, celery, basil, rosemary, and marjoram. Okay, so there you have it, my version of Spätzle. And this goes perfectly with another German specialty, Apfelschorle, which you could recreate by mixing some high-quality apple juice or cider with sparkling water. Or you could also try making yourself some Weinschorle, which is a mix of German wine like Riesling and sparkling water. Und nochmal, Guten Appetit! Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video, which was a little different from what I usually do. I hope it was interesting to see a twist on a couple examples of popular German cuisine. Okay, that's all for now. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Tschüss, bis später!